Hi everyone, welcome to our BaZi for Noob. Today we are doing topic 7. Today's video will be a bit longer than the rest because we are going to discuss in detail the 6 earthly branches clash. So let me introduce to you the earthly branches clash. You see, clashes which can occur either within the natal chart or between the natal chart and the luck cycle. Okay, in my opinion and many years of consulting, it's actually quite impactful on the person's destiny as compared to, say, harms or destruction, which subsequently I'll be doing videos on that. The reason is because the clashes usually involve earthly branches that of conflicting elements, or they are actually directly opposite each other, like two vehicles having a head-on collision. So this part here I will have a picture to show you. So this is our 12 earthly branches, and if we arrange them in such a way, you can see that all these are the clashes. Like, for example, rat will clash with the horse, ox with the goat, tiger with the monkey, rabbit with the rooster, dragon and dog, snake and pig. So the 6 sets of clashes arise from either elemental clash. What's elemental clash? Elemental clash means, for example, water and fire. Okay, in terms of the 5 element relationship, they form a clash. And another example here is between the wood and metal. Okay, so what do I mean by directional clash? Let me show you. You see, in this picture here, the 12 earthly branches can actually be displayed in terms of spatial arrangement, like this. In fact, if you know some feng shui, you know that the luopan actually have this thing called the 24 mountain, and the 12 earthly branches are actually arranged around the rings like this. Okay, and for instance, the horse belongs to the south direction, the rat belongs to the north, and we have the rabbit that belongs to the east, and the rooster belongs to the west. And for the monkey and goat, for instance, they are the southwest. Likewise for the rest. So you see that besides having the elemental clash, rat and horse, they also form the directional clash. So these are like 180-degree head-on collision. So it's very impactful, like 2 cars coming from different direction, and they knock onto each other. Likewise for, say, between the dragon and the dog, no doubt they are actually belonging to the same earth element, but based on this diagram, they actually oppose each other. Okay, so the other one will of course be the goat and the ox. Now I'm going to go a bit deeper into the meanings of earthly branches clash. First one, there's a saying, 子午冲一生不安. So in English, it means that when Zi and Wu, which is the rat and the horse, when they clash, one feels very uneasy. So this is the based on the BaZi Golden Verse. And the explanations here. Zi Wu clash is a clash between water and fire, as you might already know. It is also a directional clash between north and south. It can lead to cardiovascular issue, okay, if it is within your natal chart. So this is one of the many health issues. But today we will just mention that it is between, it is so-called related to the cardiovascular, relating to your blood flow, relating to your heart. So a person can also get into like heart attack, you know, whenever they have this 子午冲 in their chart. So be a bit careful. Alright, or sometimes based on my experience, the person has something like inborn thing, you know, that when they are born, they have this some hole there's a hole in the heart, that kind of condition. Of course, if they are, positioned, especially between certain houses in your natal chart, okay, it can lead to separation in the relationship. Number 3, it involves the peach blossom earthly branches. So it can lead to stressful moments in your romance, regardless you are man or woman. Just to recap, the 4 peach blossom branches will be 子午卯酉. Okay, the rat, the horse, we have the rabbit, we have the rooster. Now, so this is another set of peach blossom clash. In Chinese, we say that 卯酉冲背耶失信. It means that when Mao and Yo clash, it denotes a breach of trust. Just as this picture point out, sometimes it is a betrayal. Okay, it is known as a betrayal clash. Okay, my explanations. Number 1, this is a clash between wood and metal elements. It is also a directional clash. And according to the golden verse here, having such a clash in your bazi can lead to breach of trust, disappointment, and betrayal in the relationship. Meaning your partner, your spouse will betray you. Probably there will be a third party involvement. Okay. Number 2, for ladies, it can lead to womb issues. And for men, it can also be relating to their sex organ. For example, prostate issue. For lady, you could have cyst and fibroid in your womb. So this is just one aspect of the health issues. And number 3, just like the 子午 clash, Mao Yo clash also involves the peach blossom and cardinal earthly branches. Peach blossom branches are also known as the cardinal because they form the north, south, east, west. Hence, having this in your bazi natal chart, depending on where they are positioned, has a very high probability that could lead you to divorce. Earthly branch clash number 3 is in shen cong. It's known as 多情之冲. So when in and shen, which is between the tiger and monkey, when they clash, it implies an affectionate clash. Okay, explanations. So this is a clash between wood and metal elements. It is also a directional clash between like southwest and the northeast. So according to the golden verse here, having such a clash in the bazi implies the person can be over sentimental and may often end up in unrequited love. So it's just a one-way traffic. Health-wise, it can lead to limbs or gallbladder issues because usually when your wood element is under clash, in the study of TCM, wood usually represents gallbladder, your liver, or even your limbs and neck. So when either earthly branch comes from annual luck pillar, sometimes it can also mean moving house or change in working environment. Nevertheless, be careful of accident when you drive. So yin shen cong, it is in point 3. Yin shen cong also talks about traveling. They are your traveling stars. Yin shen si hai, that means the tiger, the monkey, the pig, and the snake. So they are categorized under the earthly branches known as the traveling stars. So having them that come in from the luck cycle can also mean that that year you need to travel for work or even marrying someone from afar. So this part here, actually I have, if you are interested to find out more, you can enroll yourself in the golden verse. Okay, there's this part here that we talk about how do you know that somebody will marry someone from afar. So we'll give you the formula. So you can check that out in one of our golden verses video. Okay, later I'll show you the website address. Now, let's go to the next one. Number 4, we have 陈旭聪克卿桑子. So what does it mean here? Is that when Chen and Xu, that means the dragon and the dog, when they clash, it actually talks about countering the king and hurting the child. My explanations. So this is a clash between two earth elements, also a directional clash between the southeast and the northwest. Some books call them the 天罗地网. 天罗地网 can be translated to heaven and earth net clash. So according to the golden verse here, having such a clash in your 八字 implies hurting the king and harming the child. So probably you have issues with your parents or your loved ones, as well as there's a harmful relationship between you and your children. Health-wise, it can lead to stomach or muscle issues, and the clash is usually bad for ladies according to the 八字 classic. So dragon and dog, point number 3, earthly branches belong to the graveyard star. So up to this point, you know that what constitute the so-called peach blossom earthly branches. You know what is a traveling star earthly branches. And to recap, now I think I have so-called mentioned this before in the previous 八字 for Noob video. Okay, 辰戌丑未, that means the 4 earth element earthly branches, they are categorized under the graveyard stars so-called group. Okay, and some people also prefer to call them the storage pot of money. Okay, so towards the end of this video, I will show you this golden verse that talks about how do you know when you will get rich. It is when an external luck cycle element that comprises an earth element that come in to clash your money pot. So besides being labeled as the so-called graveyard stars, sometimes these earthly branches are also known as your storage pot for money. There's a formula to determine that, okay? And of course, it can also mean moving house or working environment. Now, the thing is that sometimes when certain elements come from external luck cycle, there could be 2 to 3 things that could potentially happen. So in our mastery level, right, we will tell you, depending on what is the 10 god, okay, we are able to sort of pinpoint whether it is a divorce, whether it is a movement, say you move office or you move house, okay, or it could be an injury, or it could be a legal case. So all this we will cover in the mastery level, okay, which is conducted in a physical class in Singapore. Clash number 5 is 四害冲 between the snake and the pig. It is known as the 多事之冲, means it implies a nosy clash. My explanations. So this is a clash between fire and water element, just like 子午. It is also a directional clash between southeast and northwest. Having such a clash in the 八字 implies such a person like to meddle into someone's affair. It can be out of goodwill, but outcome sometimes turns out to be unfavorable to the person who offers the help. Let's say you have this 四害 clash in your chart. You, out of goodwill, like to go and help people, but people will find you meddlesome. People will think that you are a busybody. Health-wise, because it is a water-fire clash, just like the 子午冲, it can lead to, again, same thing, heart attack, cardiovascular problem, or even hemorrhage. Snake and pig earthly branches belong to the traveling horse stars, as mentioned just now. So again, having this in your chart can also give hint that the person like to travel or love to travel. So there's a formula to determine the traveling star in the symbolic star chapter. And I will also be able to tell you that when you have this star, why is it most of the time you end up marrying a foreigner? Because there are students like to ask, will I marry a Caucasian? Will I marry somebody that's of a different cultural background? Okay, will I marry someone from very far, overseas? So there is a way to see, not 100%, but very, very high chance. Okay? So, Si and Hai is known as nosy clash. So let me go into a bit more classical explanation. Si is the sun. Hai is the sea. Why? Because the hidden stem there for Si is actually, the main qi is actually Ping. Ping is the sun. And Hai, the main qi there is Ren. Ren is the sea water. So in the Gua image here, the sun is touching the sea. Okay, or you can say that the sun is deemed as a clashing into the sea. So the sun is supposed to be hanging high up there in the sky. Why on earth is the sun interfering in the business of the sea? So isn't he being busybody, like to poke his nose into other people's affairs? So that's the Gua image. And that is the so-called explanation extracted from the BaZi Classic. So the last clash will be 丑未冲, between the ox and the goats. In Chinese, we say that 丑未冲事多逆主, means when 丑 and 未 clash, it brings obstruction and resistance. Just like this picture here. It's an uphill task. But there's more towards this clash, okay? 丑未 clash is between two earth elements, also a directional clash between northeast and southwest. And according to the golden verse here, having this clash can lead to challenges and hurdles in life, but there's more than that, okay? It can also lead to stomach issue if it is within your natal chart. This is just one of the health issues. Usually such clash is very messy and toxic. Toxic means what? If you have this present in your chart, okay, it involves a dry earth and a wet earth. So Wei is actually the summer earth, which is dry. 丑 is the winter earth, which is wet. So when they come together, it becomes very, very muddy. Alright, and it causes a lot of, say, clogging here and there. And it's toxic because people that has this, depending on whether the elements in your chart, 丑未, is it favorable or unfavorable element, they will lead to cancer. They will lead to cancer. Okay. Now, point number 3 is 2021 belongs to 丑man, 丑 year, sorry. Okay, there's a typo there. And if you have Wei in your BaZi, you will experience a clash coming from external luck cycle. So just to recap, for the 6th clash, besides being inside your natal chart itself, it can also come from either the 10-year luck cycle, okay, in fact the 5-year luck cycle, because 5 years of stem, 5 years of branches. And it can also come from the yearly pillar, like this year. So please take note, there's a typo here. 2021 belongs to 丑 year. Just change this to year, okay? Now, we keep talking about clashes. So what actually constitutes an earthly branch clash in your natal chart? For instance, it must be like this. For example, I use a rooster and rabbit clash. First of all, they must be present. Second thing, they must be side by side. Side by side. So this is scenario number 1. They are side by side. The other scenario, also side by side. And this one touches the spouse palace. So 9 out of 10 cases, this one will lead to divorce. When your so-called earthly branches clash occur in these positions. And this one also potentially will lead to divorce, but at an older age sometimes. Okay? And what happened is that this one is also side by side, so it's a valid clash. Now, this thing, because it's separated by one palace, this is not an effective clash. Okay, so do not worry, do not get anxious if you see this, because they are already separated by one palace. Okay, separated by one palace, so you do not need to be worried. So just to show you another scenario, earthly branch clash from external luck pillar. For example, you only have a goat, but this year, because it's 2021, it's an ox year, you come in and clash. Okay, So of course, people like to ask, so what does this mean? Then there are two things to look at. First thing first is what palace does it involve? And second thing is what is the 10 got here? Okay, and then from there, you make a inference and you are able to tell that here what do you need to take care of. And this part here, we will only cover them in our mastery level, which is a 3-day program for you to become a practitioner. Then we must also consider whether is it countering in or countering out. So like in this case, if you have rooster in your chart, and when the rabbit year comes, you are actually countering out. Okay, you're countering out. Okay, so next one will be countering in. Say you have a rabbit inside your chart somewhere. It can be here, 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 or here. Rooster come, it will counter in. So there is a difference in the impact, no? Counter in and counter out. We will discuss that in the advanced level. I don't want to confuse you guys here because this is BaZi for Noob. So I don't want to go too deep first. So nevertheless, before we conclude from your BaZi that you will suffer the negative impact from clashes, most of the time, people suffer negative effect from clashes. Most of the time, okay? But there are also exceptions that people actually become richer, become happier when they go through clashes. Alright, so we need to know that how is the clash position in your BaZi to determine how bad it is. Which 10 god is involved, very important. What happens if the clash comes from luck cycle? So coming from luck cycle, it depends whether is it 5-year or the annual luck cycle, because that I mean the longer it is under clash, of course the energy will be built up, and of course things will become further aggravated compared to sometimes it is a annual clash. It could be temporary, and sometimes it comes in the form of monthly. In our advanced level, I'll teach you monthly prediction. Okay, in fact we go down to 2 weekly. This 2 week what will happen to you, next 2 week what will happen to you, so that you can really you know, BaZi is for you to plan ahead. Okay, when to do some certain things. Like for me, I use BaZi to plan for my classes. Okay, so that I know that this month, if it's a rock wealth month, I probably try not to do too much thing. And next month, because it is a wealth month, I try to do a lot of marketing campaign. So for you, you can do that. You can even use to help you to tell whether should I travel, should I not travel, alright? Especially during this period of time. Also in advanced level, we'll teach you that some clashes can be good, as it remove the bad stars. The clash remove bad stars. Okay, but under what circumstances it will become good? Between 子午, for instance, does 子 clash 午 or 午 clash 子? Of course, logically speaking, water will attack the fire. But sometimes when fire is overwhelming, there's this concept called reverse clash, 反冲. Okay? And what does 子午 clash mean for a child? Because it will be different. The reading will be different. As compared to if you are an adult, if you are an employee, if you are a businessman, if you are a housewife, then the 子午 clash will have different meanings. Okay? So we have come to the end of the so-called earthly branches clash topic. In case you are interested to find out more about BaZi Golden Verses, which is a very, very useful formula, very useful verses, very useful so-called techniques, okay, to help you to spot on in your BaZi analysis. And the last one that I actually come up with is BaZi Golden Verses on luck cycle prediction. And there's this part here about the money pot. Sometimes it's a money pot, sometimes it's a graveyard. And under the money pot, how do you know that this one is your money pot? And when they come and clash, that's the time you get a lot of money. So if you're interested, please go to fengshuisuperstar.com to enroll yourself in this program. Otherwise, you can come for our physical classes when the COVID situation gets better. Okay? Because certain things I can't really teach online. and because it's better that we have a classroom face-to-face interaction. People sometimes they will put up their own case, which sometimes is not so nice to do it online. You know, they feel they want more privacy, so they prefer to do it quietly in the class. And our class are usually not a big class. Anyway, please visit us at masterfengshui.com to find out more about services as well as courses, and you can email us at this address. And we have Facebook here for you that I will post regular tips about qi feng shui, bazi, face reading, Vedic astrology, and etc. Okay, do remember to subscribe to my channel so that in my subsequent videos you'll be alerted whenever I upload them. Alright, so thank you for watching and have a nice day.